Welcome back, everybody, for another deep dive. And,
Hmm.
today we're tackling something that I think we all kind of struggle with sometimes. Maybe even secretly it's apathy. But we're not just going to, like, wallow in the hug feeling. We're actually going to get into some really interesting techniques for kind of shifting it. And we're looking at David R. Hawkins's book, Letting Go, The Pathway of Surrender,
Okay,
specifically Chapter 4.
awesome. So,
So,
yeah, this is one of my favorite chapters.
yeah,
Hawkins, he doesn't treat apathy as laziness.
yeah.
He really frames it as this belief of, I can't, which then becomes like a self-made prison of limitations.
Okay. That prison thing is a little intense, but I get it. It's like when you're in a rut and any solution just feels impossible.
Yeah, like you're just totally stuck and there's no way out.
Yeah.
And the thing is that the key to that prison is actually within you. You hold the key to get out, and this chapter is going to give us the tools to find it.
I love that. Okay, so one of the most striking things that Hawkins talks about is this example of the infants who were evacuated from London during World War II.
No.
Like they had food, shelter, all their physical needs met, but they were dying at alarming rates.
Yeah. And this was really baffling to people at the time because they were like, what is going on? These kids have everything they need materially, and yet they're still dying.
So it was just because they weren't getting like enough hugs and love and that kind of emotional warmth.
Exactly. It really points to how important our emotional well-being is to our literal survival.
Wow, that's both heartbreaking and also fascinating. Like, how is that even possible?
It all goes back to our energy.
Yeah.
Without that emotional connection, these infants were essentially losing the will to live.
Wow. Okay. So Hawkins is saying that apathy is almost like a state of emotional death.
Yeah, our energy flatlines.
I've definitely felt that flatlining feeling before, but I never connected it to like actual death.
Right. And, we all experience apathy. It's a natural human emotion. But when we get stuck there, it can really start to affect our lives in a negative way.
Yeah, totally. So how do we get out of this? I can't rut.
Well, Hawkins argues that I can't is often a disguise for I won't. It's not about our ability to do something, but rather there are hidden feelings that are actually blocking us.
Hmm. Interesting. So is it like saying, I can't go to the gym, but really it's like, I don't want to go because I'm scared of failing or I don't know, I'm scared of people judging me.
Exactly. It's about uncovering those underlying feelings that might be fear, resentment, or what Hawkins calls payoffs.
Payoffs, like we get something out of feeling apathetic.
Yeah, it's subconscious. But think about it. If you believe I can't, you might get sympathy from others. Or you might avoid responsibility. You might not have to put in any effort.
So my brain is like low-key playing me.
Yeah.
That's frustrating, but also kind of makes sense.
It's like a sneaky little game. Our
Yeah.
minds play on us.
So how do we break free? How do we go from I won't, which still feels very stuck, to actually doing the things?
That's where the letting go technique comes in. And this is about consciously acknowledging and surrendering to those negative emotions that are driving the I won't. And this allows us to make space for positive feelings and actions.
Okay, but that sounds almost too simple. Like I just let go and poof, I'm all better. Is there like a more concrete way to picture this in action?
Sure. Let's take the example of public speaking.
Yeah.
A lot of people will say, I can't speak in public, and that's classic apathy territory.
Oh yeah. I used to totally freeze up just thinking about it.
Right. So if we dig a little deeper, the root of that might be the fear of judgment, right? So we move from apathy to fear, which is still uncomfortable, but now we have more energy, and this fear could motivate someone to, take a public speaking class or practice in front of a mirror.
Oh, so by taking action, even when we're still scared, we're already moving in like a more positive direction.
Exactly. And as they practice, they might start to feel pride in their progress, and then courage, and then eventually acceptance and peace around public speaking.
So this letting go isn't about ignoring our feelings, but more like riding the wave and seeing where it takes us.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
So the key here is recognizing that we have a choice. We can cling to the negativity or we can acknowledge it, feel it, and choose to let it go.
And that's what empowers us to actually change.
Okay, mind blown. This is making me rethink every I can't I've ever uttered. What about you? Have you noticed any like I can't masking I won't in your own life?
Well, one area I used to struggle with was,
Ooh, juicy confession time. But before we get too personal, let's pause here. And when we come back, we'll tackle another biggie from Hawkins's book, Blame, and how it keeps us stuck in apathy's grip. Okay, we're back and ready to tackle another piece of this apathy puzzle. It's blame, like that friend who always has an excuse, but it's us pointing the finger.
right.
So Hawkins says that blame is like a major obstacle to letting go and overcoming this apathy.
It really is. Because blame keeps us trapped in victim mentality. It fuels self-pity and resentment, which then drain our energy and keep us from taking positive action.
Okay, so I see how that feeds into that whole like feeling powerless thing, but isn't there a time and place for like righteous anger, like when someone genuinely wrongs us?
That's where it gets a little tricky, but Hawkins brings up Viktor Frankl's experience in a Nazi concentration camp as a really powerful example.
Yeah. Wow, okay, that's a pretty extreme example.
It is, but his book, Man's Search for Meaning,
Yeah.
it's all about finding purpose, even in the darkest of times. And he actually viewed that experience as an opportunity for growth and spiritual awakening.
So even in that situation, he was able to find something positive.
Yeah, and by refusing to blame his captors, he actually reclaimed his power and found meaning amidst unimaginable hardship.
That's incredible, but also not an easy mindset to reach. So how do we even begin to like untangle ourselves from this blame game in our everyday lives?
Well, the first step is awareness. We have to catch ourselves when we're blaming and recognize that it's a choice, not an obligation.
Right.
Once we see that, we can then start to examine what Hawkins calls the payoffs of blame.
Okay, so again, those payoffs are coming up. So we're getting something out of blaming, even though it's hurting us in the long run.
Right. Think about it. Blame often attracts sympathy and attention from others. It can protect our ego by letting us feel superior or righteous.
My ego's getting a little pat on the back while the rest of me is stuck in a rut.
Yeah, exactly.
Not cool ego, not cool. So how do we move past those tempting payoffs and actually let go of the blame?
Well, Hawkins suggests we need to become more conscious, and this means questioning our thoughts and beliefs rather than blindly accepting them as truth. He even compares the mind to a computer.
Whoa.
Our thoughts are like programs, many of which were unconsciously installed in childhood.
So those like limiting beliefs and negative thought patterns are like outdated software running in the background.
You got it. And the good news is we have the power to choose which programs to keep and which ones to delete. We can reprogram our minds with more positive, empowering beliefs.
This is so empowering. It means we're not stuck with whatever junk got programmed into us early on. We have the power to like change the code.
Yeah.
So if blame keeps us trapped in apathy, what's the antidote? What does letting go of blame look and feel like?
Well, it's about tapping into the positive polarity of blame, which Hawkins says is forgiveness.
Forgiveness, that's a big one.
Yeah, it is.
It can be so hard to truly forgive, especially when we've been deeply hurt.
It's definitely a process. And it doesn't mean condoning the actions of others. It's about releasing the grip that resentment and anger have on us. It's freeing ourselves.
Forgiveness isn't about the other person. It's about taking back our own power.
Exactly.
But how does forgiveness connect to this idea of the higher self that Hawkins talks about?
That's a great question. And this leads us to one of the most powerful ideas in the book. Hawkins describes the higher self as our best version of ourselves, free from negativity, a source of inner strength and wisdom. It's like this reservoir of love, courage, generosity, all the things that make us feel truly alive.
That sounds pretty amazing. But if it's our best self, why does it feel so hard to access sometimes?
Because we often block it with our negativity and our limiting beliefs. But when we practice forgiveness, when we let go of blame and resentment, we clear a path to connect to that higher self.
Okay, I'm starting to see how all these pieces fit together. We move from I can't to I won't. We recognize the trap of blame. We choose forgiveness, and we connect with our higher self. It's like this step-by-step guide to like shedding those heavy burdens and stepping into a more positive and powerful way of being.
Yeah, it is.
Is there anything else we can do to help us along this journey? Is there a way to make this process easier?
Well, there is. And Hawkins points to the importance of the company we keep and the environments we choose to be in.
Right. You know what they say? You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with, but does it really have that much of an impact on our emotional state?
Hawkins shares a really interesting personal anecdote about seeing auras. And he noticed that when he spent time with people who had that ability, he temporarily gained access to it as well.
Wait, auras, like those colorful energy fields around people, he could see those?
He could. And it wasn't just about seeing auras. He found that spending time with people who possessed certain abilities kind of granted him temporary access to those same abilities. Just being around someone with a certain skill could unlock it in you.
Whoa, that is wild. So how does that relate to letting go of apathy and connecting with our higher self?
Well, it really speaks to the importance of choosing our environments and relationships wisely. If we surround ourselves with negativity, it's going to rub off on us. But if we seek out positive and supportive communities, we can literally raise our vibration. It's like choosing a better emotional ecosystem for ourselves.
So we need to be mindful of the energy that we're absorbing from the people and the places around us.
Exactly.
That's a really powerful reminder.
It is, and it's not about cutting off everyone who's struggling. It's about being intentional about where we invest our energy and who we allow to influence us.
This is making me think about the people in my life and the energy they bring. Some are like Energizer bunnies, while others, well, let's just say I might need to reevaluate a few friendships.
That's a great takeaway from this conversation.
This has been an incredible deep dive. So far, we've gone from feeling trapped in I can't to understanding the power of I won't, the importance of forgiveness and choosing positive influences.
And we're not done yet.
Oh, right, because when we come back, we'll distill everything we've learned into some key takeaways and leave our listener with some empowering action steps for overcoming apathy and embracing the power of letting go.
Okay, we're back. And man, we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive into apathy. Like, I'm feeling like we've unearthed some serious mental ninja skills.
I know, right?
So for our listener who's maybe feeling that weight of apathy right now, what's the key takeaway? What's like the first step towards cracking open that prism?
Well, I think it starts with that awareness.
Yeah.
Recognizing that I can't is often masking I won't. And then realizing that I won't is being driven by those deeper feelings. So you got to identify those, what is it, fear, resentment, those sneaky payoffs that are keeping us kind of comfy in our rut.
Oh yeah, those payoffs, they're so sneaky.
Right.
It's crazy how our brains can reward us for staying stuck. They do. It's like a self-sabotage mechanism almost.
Totally. So once we've like ID'd those sneaky rewards, what do we do next?
Well, that's where the letting go technique comes in. It's not about suppressing those feelings, but consciously choosing to release their hold on us. Remember that public speaking example, like facing the fear step by step and moving up that emotional scale.
Oh, yeah. It's like instead of fighting the wave, we're learning to surf it.
Exactly. And as we practice letting go of those negative feelings, we create space for forgiveness to kind of emerge forgiveness of others, but also forgiveness of ourselves.
Forgiveness, that's a big one. It's so easy to get caught up in blaming others or even ourselves for, where we are in life. But letting go of that blame, it's like releasing a giant weight.
It is a huge weight. And by releasing it, we tap into that reservoir of positive energy that Hawkins calls the higher self. So imagine your best self free from negativity, full of wisdom and potential. That's what we're connecting to.
It's like leveling up in a video game.
It is.
But how do we actually make that connection? Is there like a secret handshake?
It's less about a specific action and more about cultivating a supportive mental and emotional environment. So think about the people you spend time with, the information you consume, the physical spaces you inhabit. Are they uplifting? Are they inspiring? Or are they draining and negative?
Whoa, that's a great point. It's like we're curating our own emotional ecosystem. If we're constantly surrounded by negativity, no wonder we feel stuck.
Right.
So choose your companions wisely, seek out communities that share your values and aspirations, surround yourself with beauty and inspiration, and be mindful of the information that you're allowing into your mind.
Absolutely.
So to recap for our listeners, if apathy feels like a heavy weight, start by identifying those I won'ts and the payoffs that are keeping you stuck. Practice letting go of those negative emotions, embrace forgiveness, and cultivate a positive environment that really nourishes your soul.
And remember, this is a journey, not a destination. There will be ups and downs. But with consistent effort and self-compassion, you can break free from apathy and unlock the power of your higher self.
What a powerful way to end this deep dive. I don't know about you, but I am feeling inspired and ready to tackle those unknowns head on. Thanks for joining us on this journey of letting go and self-discovery. Until next time, keep diving deep.